Hi everybody, it is Friday here on this channel, and that means it's time for some new content to the channel. And today we're bringing you some content for the Let's Talk About Butt Stuff playlist. You know what that means, some juicy good fun. But before we get into that, we are going to take care of some channel maintenance we take care of before every episode. Right off the top, if you enjoy the content, I am not a mind reader, people. You better click that like button and leave me a comment below. I appreciate you for doing so. If you're new here, consider clicking that subscribe button and dinging the bell. The bell gives you notifications every time I upload new content to the channel, which is 2 times per week on Wednesdays and Fridays. Last but not least, if you're not already giving me a follow over on the socials, head over to @Barrett_Laurie at both Twitter and Instagram. You'll find me there, and I am good to engage with you on both platforms. So, with that taken care of, we better get into the topic of the day. Hi friends! I am so glad to be back talking about butt stuff with all of you. So excited. Today's topic is deeply, deeply personal, and I can't wait to dive in. And I know what you're thinking. How is it possible to get more deeply personal than your video about anal fistulas? Well, speaking of anal fistulas, I'm gonna link to that video right here for those of you that are new to this channel. That video will give an overview of my experience with Crohn's disease. However, in brief, for those that are new, before we get into this juicy topic of the day, my name is Barrett Laurie, and I suffer from complex paraanal Crohn's disease. It is considered moderate to severe, and my Crohn's presents in the form of tunnels that burrow from my intestines to just outside my bumhole. They are very, very, very painful, and they leak drainage that is basically pus, so it smells terrible and is awfully messy until you get it treated. Treatment for me looks like setons, which again are described in that video about anal fistulas. They are essentially drains that allow the wound to drain until it heals. How does it heal, you ask? It heals with a mix of medications. So a biologic, for me, that is Remicade infusions that happen about every 6 weeks, as well as a chemotherapy pill or an immunosuppressant called Azathioprine that I take every single day. The idea being that if you can get my immune system to just chill out, maybe the little pus makers in my intestines will calm down and quit draining the nasty stuff. The good news is I've had one of these drains removed, and I'm getting word that I may get a second one removed at the end of this month. However, I am not considered in remission just yet. That may not come until the beginning of the year after I have a surgery to remove a stricture on another part of my intestines. So much fun stuff to talk about. Brings me joy. However, this video is meant to be a fun one for my people suffering from IBD. I, as you all know, am an open book about everything that is bathroom related, potty related, and butt related. Always have been. Anywho, my topic of the day today is something that really afflicts not only those of us with IBD, in fact, it can afflict you too, especially if you've ever gotten something like food poisoning or severe diarrhea. So let me tell you about today's video topic. A friend of mine that also suffers from the same type of Crohn's that I have had alerted me to a condition that she has suffered from off and on occasionally called Poo Polio. I know what you're thinking. What in the world is Poo Polio? Well, I'm about to tell you. So for those of us with IBD, and those of you that might have had severe diarrhea from the flu or possibly food poisoning, could tell you when one spends a large amount of time on the toilet. Sometimes you can lose feeling in your extremities, like your legs. And I've even had reports from friends with squatty potties that they have lost some feeling in other extremities, like arms, from odd arm placement due to the squatty potty. At any rate, earlier this week, I made some poor food choices over the weekend and suffered for it most of Monday, which meant a good portion of that day for me was spent in the bathroom. What this came to for me was my first case of Poo Polio, or poop polio, if you will, also known as pooping polio. Basically, I'd spent about an hour on the toilet just screaming in pain, only to find when I had finished and decided to finally get up that I couldn't. My legs were numb. That feeling of needles going through my legs was ever present. And I realized, my goodness, I cannot walk. So now I'm doing like an army crawl out of my bathroom, wondering if I'll ever walk again. The good news is I did. The bad news is the Poo Polio came back almost every time I found myself on the toilet on Monday, which was a good chunk of the day. So for those of you out there that have never heard of this before, consider yourself warned. If you're a toilet reader, you could find yourself suffering from Poo Polio. If you hide from your kids by staying in the only room of your house that you can possibly lock them out of and find yourself sitting on the toilet, scrolling through Instagram endlessly, just hoping for 30 minutes to yourself, you too could suffer from Poo Polio. Maybe you've eaten some bad chicken, or you ate something that's a little bit past its due date, and you've got the rumbly tumblies. Well, my friend, if you're on the toilet more than 40 minutes, you could find yourself suffering from Poo Polio. And I regret to inform you that there is no vaccine, there is no biologics, there is no medication for the Poo Polio. In fact, you just have to let the blood recirculate back to your legs, at which point it will be tingly and uncomfortable. Nothing like the discomfort that one feels from having Crohn's disease and finding themselves blowing bum on a toilet for a good portion of the day, but a close second. Also, I do find it helps to bring sometimes a blankie and a pillow, maybe an iPad where you can watch a little bit of Netflix until you regain the use of your legs. I find that helps. So for those of you out there that don't want to have the Professor X vibe going on, try to get up occasionally if you're stuck on the toilet with the rumbly tumblies or maybe the Crohn's disease or colitis, any of those. Just try to get up a little bit, get the blood flow back in your legs midway. I like to do kind of like a reverse squat, if you will, to kind of go back up like, whoop, we're getting some blood flow back and we're back down. So I find those things are quite helpful. It is not a long-lasting illness. It will pass quickly. Also important to note, the shorter you are and the higher your toilet is, the more likely you are going to suffer from the Poo Polio. So if you are on the shorter side of Sears, trust and believe that Poo Polio could affect you in a big way. However, do not fear. The Poo Polio is very short-term, short-lived, and will pass. I will tell you, your partner may find you screaming on the floor, writhing in pain, again, army crawling your way out of the bathroom and wonder, has he or she finally lost their mind? And I always like to reassure my husband that that happened long ago, my dear. So, if you find yourself suffering from Poo Polio, head back to this video, look for some tips and tricks for how to deal with this affliction. And I hope that you too will be able to overcome it with strength and grace and dignity. Because let's be honest, at some point, we're all going to be glued to the toilet. It doesn't matter if you have the IBD or not. You're going to eat something that your mother-in-law makes that's just not quite cooked to perfection, and you will be sick. And that could result in you spending a good deal of time on the toilet. So be forewarned. This serves as my PSA for how to deal with Poo Polio, especially for those of us suffering from IBDs, more specifically Crohn's disease. But for the rest of you, take these tips and tricks to heart. They may just save your life. This PSA on Poo Polio is brought to you by my Let's Talk About Butt Stuff playlist. For those of you out there, good luck, Godspeed, and may the Poo Polio pass quickly before too much damage is done. Bless, and I look forward to seeing all of you here real soon. Bye, y'all.